Okay, so recap, again, going through our thoughts after last week's game against Missouri. Again, solid win for sure. Really good prep, I thought, by our team during the week as we went through our stuff and the energy and effort and what we did throughout the week. And not just from the guys you guys saw playing Saturday, our off the field guys, the scout team guys, all those guys were really impressive. Our game day effort was something to be proud of as coaches. Like I say, impressed with their prep. Our kids didn't panic when we got into a good team on the road, loud. A lot of still young guys playing, but we got a lot of vets, so we were pretty, kind of stayed the course there. We made a bunch of mistakes, that was for sure, but we kept playing hard, which is all we talked about wanting to do. It was good to see. Said in preseason we wanted consistency and competitiveness, and that's what we expect to see this week. So we need the same kind of. And we're talking about that in our preparation and what we're doing on a daily basis, just not what you see Saturday when you guys get us out there, this week at a 1:30 kick, but just, what's our consistency, what's our competitiveness as we went through yesterday and our cleaning up our meetings and that as we're going through today and back in our normal Monday routine into Tuesday and whatnot. Again, looking for that a little bit more, like I say, a weekly, daily routine. Thought we were good in all three phases, which we needed to be against that team and needed to be on the road, and we'll need as we get into conference play and our opponents coming up down the stretch because they're all going to be tough and competitive games. In the kicking game, our players of the game were Toth and Oaks, a variation of Hall and Oates back in the day. But Toth and Oaks, I don't think there'll be a music group. Both those guys kicked it very well. Del Grosso will still be in the mix. He's got a little bit of a lingering groin thing. He's been battling a minor thing and just didn't seem to have as much pop. And when Griff came in, kicked the kickoffs very well, actually moved to him. We haven't made what I'd say any rash decisions other than we expect guys to play when they're called upon. And Griff answered the deal at kicker, and we'll just kind of see what happens this week as we prepare and chart. And we think they're all good, and we'll just kind of see how it goes forward as far as does he continue to manage. The opportunity is there for him to do so. We'll see if he keeps it. We'll have a huge challenge this week from Maryland. They got great athletes. They've impacted every game in the kicking game, so it'll be a huge game in conference to win a game like we did last week and have success and have a chance this week. We'll need to play well in the kick game, so it's nice to have the kickers, but also our coverage guys and return guys weren't bad. We need a little bit more in the return game. We're not getting a lot right now in our punt return and kick return. We need to be better there. Defensively, had some tackles for loss, had some sacks, created a turnover. We still had too many missed tackles. We had some take-back opportunities. We had the ball out in the fourth quarter. Tony Fields calls us a fumble. We don't get it. I had the ball out early. They called an incomplete pass. Had potential for some more negative plays, and we just didn't wrap up and tackle well. So we missed some opportunities to even have more, but we had an impressive effort. All we talked about was spot the ball, get the call, line up, and play hard. And no matter where they put the ball down, do it again. We gave up a couple big plays in the first half, not as many in the second half, but no matter what happens, let's just move on to the next play and get it going. And it's nice to see those guys, for the most part, do that in a decent way. Players of the game were Mark Murphy, TJ Simmons, and Tigray Scales. We recognized three guys. Tigray, I guess, was freshman Big Ten player of the week on the defensive side. All very good performances. Scouts of the week that went against them, giving a great look. Xander Diamant, that travels and is a backup quarterback, played a little bit of quarterback for us last week, helping get the look they needed. And Tyler Lukens, an older walk-on offensive lineman, did a great job for us. Our scouts were very impressive last week, really helped the defense. They had an awesome week. Offensively, had 0 turnovers, and that was a huge deal, and that was a team effort. Because, you've got some protection issues that create turnovers or, the ability to just maintain some blocks where a guy didn't get a great, strip out or club of the ball. So 0 turnovers against a team that I think had a very long streak, one of the longest active streaks in the country, and probably one of the longest in the history of the game. Had 240 running, 250 passing. We're not trying to be equal, but it was nice to see that we were decent on both run and pass. It was a solid day. We kept playing hard. Players of the game, 3 guys recognized there for us: D'Angelo Roberts, Tevin Coleman, and Ralston Evans, who played very well. Our scouts had a great week last week from Niall Sykes. Did a great job for us emulating their rush. A guy I think's close that might be getting worked into playing. And Kyle Kennedy, who kind of plays scouts and then gets a little extra on his own. And one of the bigger plays in the game is a third down when we hold them to a field goal there. We're going cover zero, and Kyle's the unblocked guy with some right now pressure that makes their quarterback throw it about a count early, and we get off the field and hold them to a field goal. So great job for an older guy that's doing well there with Kyle Kennedy. Injury update, again, came out of the game pretty good. We do have 2 injuries. Kenny Mullen got a knee injury, probably going to require surgery, it looks like. And Marcus Oliver, same deal, just playing, kind of a non-contact deal. Both of those appear to be surgical. I think they're, although I didn't get detailed medical data, I think they're both ACLs, so they'll be season ending, it looks like. Those are early enough, too, that they'll be, could be potential red shirts if you need it, because I think before the 4th game, you can get your year back. So even though they've played, it's not going to be a, quote, wasted year. It's unfortunate. They're 2 of our better backups and special team guys. Mark has been playing a lot. But with the young guys we got in the secondary, young guys at linebacker, again, I think we've got the team that can overcome that and handle it. Matter of fact, defensively, every player that went on the trip played except one. And so we played a bunch of guys. We needed it. We'll need that going forward. And we got a lot of young guys. So unfortunate for Kenny and Marcus, 2 great kids and great players. But we got to move on. I'm going to need those guys to be great leaders for us and keep bringing some energy because they're veterans. But we'll need some young guys to keep stepping up. And I don't think we're any different than any other team. A lot of teams this time of year start getting the nick up, and unfortunately we got that. Good to be back home. So for this week, 3 weeks in a row, we've been gone with the open date and 2 road games. It's our Big Ten opener. So excited about that. We'll need another and our best week of preparation. We're going to need a great deal of energy from everyone. And I'm talking about our student body and our fan base. We need a lot of energy this week. So build this week. See if we can have an exciting atmosphere on game day, a lot of vibe around town. A lot of guys not jumping on the bandwagon, but just giving the team the positive energy it needs to keep building. Maryland's coming in at 3-1. They played a very, very strong schedule. They've played 2 road games that they've won. Their 1 loss is to West Virginia, 40-37 at home. West Virginia was up 28-3 in the second quarter, and it shows the team that Coach Etzel has for those guys to come back and actually have a chance to win. Coach Etzel does an awesome job, and he's got a bunch of veteran coaches that we know and respect. Led by their quarterback, C.J. Brown. Very dynamic player, 6-year player. I think he took over when Boomer graduated when I played in '84. He's been there a long time. He's their leading rusher, and he makes a lot of plays throwing the football, and he makes them to some very, very dynamic receivers, as good as we'll see, as good as there is collectively on any college team. Very, very impressive receivers, very impressive offense. They stress you out, score a bunch of points. Defensively, very athletic, multiple, very aggressive. Last week, a pick 6. They've created 10 turnovers. We've had seasons here. I don't think we've created 10. They've got 10 in 4 games. They battled for 4 quarters. It's evident how they've played those games. They won a game. They had 7 turnovers. They have 8 for the year. I think they had 7 or 6 in 1 game, yet they won. So it shows their team's got a lot of resolve, a lot of fight. They play really strong in the scoring zone. I think 40% of the time you score a touchdown on them. They might give up yards, but they're not giving up points. They're playing very, very well there. Kicking game, like I said, is very, very impactful in what they do. It's going to be a strong, strong, strong challenge. Got a couple announcements before we open it up. Number 1, this week we're having our free youth clinic prior to the game. It's going to be on our practice fields right here behind the stadium. It's free to everyone that has a ticket. If the kids don't have a ticket, they can buy one. You can go online, I think at iuhoosiers.com. You can get youth tickets for $10. Our players that are redshirting, not dressing, will be working with USA Football. And remember, guys, USA Football is headquartered right up the street in Indianapolis. It's right in our backyard. Scott Hollenbach and his guys do a great job teaching heads-up football. They're instrumental now working with a lot of high schools and a ton of Little League teams, certification of coaches, teaching proper fundamentals. Their group will run the clinic, and our players that are not dressing will be out there coaching that clinic. That starts at 1:30. Registration clinics at 12 o'clock, and the kids will get to run on the field before the team takes the field. It's a heck of an atmosphere. We had a great turnout last year, almost 300 kids, some kids out of Indy, a lot of Monroe County guys, and we want to have the same deal this year. And then last this week is the Coaches versus Cure cancer game. Everyone around the country, for the most part, I think most teams, unless you're open, and I think the open teams kind of recognize it next week, but to create some energy some knowledge, some research for the Duchenne muscular dystrophy, which is one of the leading issues with some of our children and the issues it causes for families. And we got today from right here in Southside India, we got our man Jordan. Come on up here, Jordan. Now Jordan hit. Come here. Jordan's got a face plant from a tackle he made. Look at this thing right here. Look at this deal. This is Jordan. Is this Lauren, right? Lauren. And they're slide over the picture. They're got a daughter here that goes to IU, and we're recognizing this big guy here, a 5-year-old out of Southside. Can you say Hoosiers? All right. So happy to have you guys here today. All right, thanks. Thank you. All right, again, something our sport and our coaches have done for years is this has been a big weekend. You see the guys wear the patch, but it's just not a patch. It's representing some families. I think a lot of families get impacted by a lot of things, and it's a family fight. So again, we just want to create some energy and awareness about that. And I know there's been a lot of strides made in helping that disease, and we're honored to have those guys here today. Questions here? Let's go.
I know you want each game to be the same. A win's a win, a loss is a loss. Move on. But do you grasp just how important that beating Missouri on the road is for the program, the perception of the program, and just for the fans?
It's good for all that, but it's really good for the players that have been working, because they're the guys that have been doing a lot of things right for a long time. And it's very, 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 very difficult to maintain doing that if you don't see results. And so for those kids to finally, just like say we talked about being tapping on, but to kind of bust through and just keep playing. We could have played as hard as we could and made a poor play call or not got a good break or had the ball bounce the other way and been on the short side. But to see those guys battle, compete, wasn't surprised, but it was just really great to see on game day. With that, I'm sure it'll be good for our fans and everyone else. But most importantly, these kids have made a phenomenal amount of commitment. And I was just very, very happy for the seniors and for those guys to kind of start getting a little bit of positive. But my deal is it's short term, and it's the process of that week. You've done a lot of things right for a long time, but it's easy to drop your guard, drop your hands, and not come out ready to play the next game. That's human nature. And that being said, we'll see if we have the guts and the discipline to just prepare and give ourselves a chance to go play hard again. Because that's all we talked about last week, was just playing hard. And the team we play, I think that's their mindset. They talk about just, let's play the next play and keep playing. So I expect a strong challenge. I'm just wanting our kids to kind of keep the focus on how you prepare. And let's keep putting together good weeks and see how many we can stack up.
Or was it just so those kids could see what they're really capable of? And
Excuse me?
How important was it just so the kids understand what they're capable of?
I think a lot. I mean, again, until again, there's just that's some of those last fine lines that you have to walk, but now you got to repeat the walk and you got to do it over and over. And it's easy now for all of a sudden you're no different than you were. You're the same person. And teams that play really good, players that play really good, players that are great players are really just very good all the time. And they keep doing it over and over. They stay hungry, they stay humble, they stay grounded, they keep preparing. That's what the really strong players do in any sport. It's what you do in your field, and if you're good at it, you keep repeating it. It's not like you do anything unusual. You just keep doing a lot of good things over and over and keep backing it up, and that's our challenge to these guys. Let's go back now to just what we do, how we do it, and make sure, again, you're resting right, eating right, practicing right, studying right, and if you like that feeling, let's remember all the things that it took to get here. Now, there's been a lot of work to get them to this point. But now you've got to do it on a weekly basis to then go out and perform. You've worked hard, you've recruited better, you've developed, you've got things in place. Yes, that helps. That's a part of it. But now that you're here, you have to do the things to give yourself a chance to perform well. And that's what we're talking to our team about, is how to come back now we had to let go of the Bowling Green game. We've already talked about we got to let go of Missouri. And now it's on to Maryland. And we got to move on. We got a lot of things to learn on. We got a lot of things to build on. And now we got to move full tilt into playing Maryland at 1:30 Saturday.
At the end of the game, scores tied. Maryland, Missouri's driving. I think it was the second down. They're getting close to the red zone. You call timeout. You and Coach Noor brought the defense over and talked to them a little bit. Was that just say, hey, I know they're just because they're in the red zone, they don't have to score. Hold them, then we're going to go win. What did you tell them in that timeout?
I just didn't like the feel like I wasn't like, here we go again, because, this team hadn't been here. We, which is this team is we. Us was year before and year before and year before, but we was this team. So I wanted this team to right now, we talk about playing hard. We're just going to play hard right now. All you got right now. That's all we talked about. We were going to go 4 quarters, and we trained, and we're strong enough and we're mature enough that there's some gas in your tank, and let's don't save it. Let's play. So it was little, and then I looked at some guys on the sideline and said, let's get behind these guys a little bit here. Let's go. And let's get a little energy going here. So it was just, I just kind of felt we were halfway reeling, and we just need to slow down. We didn't make any phenomenal call or something different other than just everybody slow down, take a deep breath, get your eyes back on the target, and let's go play. And that was it.
Through the first 3 games, you guys are about 10th in the country rushing the ball, and no matter the back, you seem to be pretty productive. Just talk about your thoughts on the running game and how pleased you've been with it.
It's tough to run. It's an attitude to run. It's more of a mindset, and it's taken us some time to get that mindset. Where we were mature enough across the board, and it's tough to do, and it's tough to do it week after week. And that box is going to get loaded, and you better be able to throw it out there too. And I had a couple of issues where sometimes that ball should have been pitched out, and we didn't pitch it. With a quarterback, hey man, if they're giving you some one-on-one opportunities, we got some guys outside. It's a team effort. So it's a team effort to run the ball, and the pass helps the run helps the pass. It all goes together. The offensive line is a group that's getting better and playing hard, and they get all the credit when you run the ball, but they actually get a lot of credit when you pass, because that was a tremendous pass rush we played the other day. And there's some things we had to do to protect the quarterback that the line does. That running game was pretty good the other day because of some tight end blocking and some perimeter blocking, and more importantly, the 3 guys that came in played with attitude. They took care of the football. And Tevin's a special player. D'Angelo's a veteran, and you didn't see Miles much, but he's not far behind what you saw from Divine. So it's kind of a committee deal. As much as we play, as fast as we play, you need a bunch of guys. Like I'm saying, we talked a week about guys understanding roles, and we addressed that. And I think that's why our defense played a lot better, because nobody worried about playing. They all kind of played, and they went out and played hard. I think our running backs think they're going to play. Our receivers think they're going to play. So quit worrying about it. Just get ready and go play hard. I think D'Angelo and Divine's play, as Tevin was kind of out there and getting IV'd up there in the second quarter, was a huge part of keeping the team in rhythm to go 4 quarters. It was huge.
How much did Tommy Mister's injury open the door for Divine, or was he a guy?
It was a matter of fact, the day Tommy got hurt, it was like we need to see both those guys, because it's kind of, I think Tommy showed a little bit more flash, but Divine showed a little bit more consistency for a young guy. It was a little tougher for a young guy. So it was probably even, and maybe Divine had a slight lead, but they're both, other than Tommy's got his injury right now, they were both, kind of neck and neck.
It's a conference game, but does it to a certain extent feel like a non-conference game because you don't have any familiarity with them? You have more familiarity with Bowling Green and Missouri than you'll have in Maryland.
Yeah, to me, I could be wrong. I'm not sure about. I don't believe anyone has won our division that starts 0-1 since they've done division. So we've talked about getting off to a good start, and we talked totally about it being a conference game, and the importance of that. And again, they're very, very talented. I didn't watch the Missouri game from last year until last Sunday. We didn't do an enormous study of. We put more time, I think, on ourselves and our player development and what we need to do to get better, more than worried about what other people do. And so, to me, this is no different than any week. You start on, you go back and review some things, but when and Bucking took us, he coached, it's like coaches used to do all these studies all the time. It was justified, and so you had to be in the office all that long. It was kind of water. You really just watch yourself and your cut-ups. Like, man, we're not good at double teams, and our perimeter blocking's great, or we're not a good movement pass team. We got to work on our bootleg passing or sprint out. So to me, you always study yourself, and Sunday is a new chapter, and all energy starts on Sunday. So we came in yesterday. We showed our guys. We showed a lot more Maryland than we did Missouri. Here's some things we liked that was very impressive. Here's some things that got to get fixed. And now let's get on to Maryland right now and start moving this week.
I don't know if concerning is the right word, but Maryland's special teams' ability to return kickoffs and punt returns. How crucial will that be for you guys containing that?
Well, and we had the same issue the last couple of weeks. Bowling Green's guy had blocked a punt week 1 and had a return and almost had a second return in the week 2. Of course, the wind was so bad the kicking wasn't an issue that day because you couldn't get one into coverage last week. They had a very good return last week. We missed a tackle and one got out on us. But you're going to be in conference if you do your end. I would expect most games to be very, very competitive, and that means you're down to a play can get you. And so whether I'm supposed to go cross face and a kick cover and cancel a lane or don't, reach on the backside of a punt protection or don't, you're going to be in games where critical plays can get you short. We were in a game the other day, one critical play could get you on the short end of the stick, and there's going to be a lot of games, and that's the nature of college football. That's why there's so many. The difference between 4 and 8, 8 and 4 is not a lot. Not a lot. Not a lot. It's few plays, few players.
In games decided by 4 points or less, you guys are 1-7 in your career here before Saturday. How important was it to finally get over the top in one of those games?
Good for the guys, and all we talked about, the only way you do that is, we have an error a year ago where we just kind of blunder play, but it's not, I don't think we've choked games away or lost games or just gave up and quit or whatever, Our deal is you got to make a play. And you always see like at the end, but there's plays throughout the game that's the one play that makes it a 10-point game instead of a 3. So now you're 2 scores up instead of a 3-point game, whatever. So our deal we talked about is you got to make plays to win games, and the way you make plays is you're playing hard every play. If you just keep playing hard and keep chipping at it, sooner or later that ball is going to come out. You're going to have an explosion play. You're going to have a great kick play or lack thereof. And so our deal was we just talked about if you keep playing hard, odds of those plays happen to increase, and that's that the whole focus last week was just on, which it needs to be, and it's easier said than done, is to get their attention and their bodies and their practice habits in a way that when they fall back on something, they're falling back to good habits and they're playing hard. And that being said, we're just very fortunate to be on the plus side of that one.
Sometime during the fourth quarter, we had a heated discussion with Dave Sudfeld. I think he was either resulted in a sack or got pressured and threw the ball away. What was that conversation, like the nature of that conversation?
That's called family love. That's how we love our brothers. Like we need to call that play and get that ball out of her hand. Let's keep attacking. And that's all that was. Short and sweet. That was it. Like, hey, man, let's go right now. We're coming at these guys. Let's go, man. Call the play, get them set, spot the ball, line up and play, call the play, let's go get it. That's all it was. Let's don't get – thought we kind of started waiting around and seeing what they were doing. We weren't waiting. That's why sometimes our third downs weren't as good as they needed to be. But if we'd have really – and not that we want to be a hyper-tempo team, but if we'd have slowed down, those guys could have really teed off on us, and we didn't want that. We wanted to be teeing off on them. And, we might have had some wild swings that were swing and misses, but we were going to swing. We weren't going to sit there and hope that the fourth pitch was a ball. We were going to take a cut at it if it was close. And I just was pointing out to him, like, hey, man, we're not looking. We're not waiting for something to happen. We're attacking. Let's get back in the attack mode. So just some good old family love to a good player, great player, who played very, very well. Played very, very well. Tough. That's a stressful situation. On the road, that crowd, they got some guys coming at you. It was a really good job by the O-line, that kid handling that was good to see. Very good to see for a quarterback that can't win on the road. As you guys wrote, right? You guys wrote that, right? Yeah. He don't win on the road. We win on the road. We lose on the road. We hadn't done it. We did it. We got to do it again at home now. What's up? I don't know. And all success is 1 week. So if that's your definition of success, so be it. We talked before the game that, we want to do everything we could to put ourselves in a position to play hard, to give ourselves a chance. And as soon as it's over, if you like that, you got to do it again. It's not going to be easy. If you're a senior at the end of your career, it's like some of you guys, and have you made enough money to retire on? Did you get jacked up because your investments didn't go well and you're going to blame somebody? You're going to work hard and make a little bit more money at the end. So how much you want at the end? You got a few more weeks here to play this game. The season's got weeks to come, and we just stressed out. If you're satisfied, then so be it. I don't think we work all that time to not play well. I don't think we work all that time to rest on our laurels. We haven't accomplished anything. We had one good week, And we talk about a season. It's a football season, not a football week. Now, we break it up into weeks, but it's the football season. And, it's a long season. And it's your ability to do it again. So it's not, again, I wasn't overly excited about it, wasn't overly surprised. And I'm just kind of back in the groove. Okay, this is Monday. Here's what we do. Here's Tuesday. Here's what we do. And let's put it together and and if anything, you'd like to think we put it together better. Because if that's the best we can play, we're not very good. We're not very good coaches. We're not very good players if that's the best we got. We got a lot left in front of us, and it better be getting better.
Defensive line was more disruptive this week than it had been previously. Was it aggression, guys using their hands better to get off blocks? What was it?
A little bit of both. Sometimes with some movements, calls, and that started from the start. I think 3-4 of their first runs were tackles for losses. I didn't. You can talk to Coach McDaniel, Brian, a little bit more specific of their schematic thoughts. I don't get as much of that as much as my thing was. There's different styles, and I don't think our investments are going to be very good here if we conservatively invest. Okay, I don't think that's why we go no huddle. That's why we go for it on some fourth downs. That's why we do some things. I think we got to be calculated, and not like I said a week ago. Don't be careless. But we have to have an aggressive approach, and I implored the defensive guys, do what you need to. I don't understand all the schemes sometimes defensive. I know what I see when I attack it from an offensive view that I have. But I know this, if I want to sit around and be very cautious in my investments, I don't know if you're going to get the return you want. And you can get burned because when you and I don't mean you got to blitz a lot. You just got movements. So we played a bunch of guys. You got to play those guys. And you could get burned by playing a freshman. But we needed to play those guys to play as hard as we could after that timeout. Because if we didn't play those guys, we wouldn't have had enough gas in the tank. So as a coach, that's a risky investment. But you got to do that sometimes to get the return you want. And that's all we just, we got to have enough guts to challenge ourselves and don't worry about the results. Coach Stoops said to me, and I think you got it from Coach Spurrier, you got to make calls you think's best and don't worry about criticism. Because everything we're doing since I've been here is try to be what we thought was best to help the team. From a recruiting standpoint, staffing standpoint, budget standpoint, you name it, we're trying to build this team. And every decision I want those coaches to do last week in game planning was put those players in position where they could have a chance. And let's go at it. Let's get out of the way. Let's be aggressive.
Wanting this to become a program that's not just, a 1 week thing, like you're talking about, week in, week out, it's competitive. Kind of where do you feel it's at from that standpoint, and what are the keys to keep Missouri from being, like you said, just one good week?
Well, one thing we've talked about is even though we've yet to, quote, crack the deal of being over the 500 point, being the bowl team, we have been very, very competitive because we talk about the games. You've got to get to where you're competitive on the short side before you get over the hump. So I know we go through like in our time here, I think now we've won our last 8 and we've lost games by 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. So we're playing very, very competitive football. Now we got to keep playing hard, coach better, making a place to get on the right side. So we've been competitive. We need to be competitive winners. One thing about we've been competing, and we've been doing things I think that make us competitive. But you also now got to do things where the competitiveness starts to become consistency, where you have the winning and you get on the right side of the ledger more. So again, I think our guys. That's why we keep saying we do a lot of things right. It's got to transfer to game week. We've got to go back this week, do it right, and we're going to play this week probably as skilled, as talented team as we played to date, probably the most. And it's just going to be a huge, huge test for us Saturday. Great team coming in. Anything else? Maryland's defense, they're very, very multiple in what they're doing, so they're not very static. Their defense coordinator's got background in the pro deal, so it's a combination of 3-man fronts, 4-man fronts, pressures from fields and boundaries, a lot of movement in the secondary, confusing your quarterback on rotations, looking like you got a field throw and all of a sudden clouding that way and clamping down and over top and really making you work. So an athletic crowd. They've had a few injuries, but like all of us, we've got a few on the defensive side too now. That's a part of the game. They have continued to overcome that, and they've came up short against a tremendous opponent, West Virginia. West Virginia's got 2 close losses to Alabama and Oklahoma. So they've played a very good schedule. They've been on the road twice, playing at Syracuse, playing at South Florida. They've traveled. They've had long travel. So to me, they come in as a veteran team. They were a bowl team a year ago. So they got a lot of good habits. It's going to be a strong test, and we need to handle, whether you want to call it success, whatever, we need to put last week back away and move on and have a good week and now come out and play hard. And maybe we call the right plays, get right bounces. Maybe we don't. Let's just go play hard.